You are listening to the Cricket Corner podcast with me, Vatsal Vora. Well, this is something we did not expect to talk about when we were recording the preview podcast. Well, welcome back to the Cricket Corner podcast with me, Vatsal Vora, where we are reviewing the first test match which has just ended in Hyderabad. Sorry for a bit of delayed podcast here. Some things happening in the background which prevented me from recording this podcast. If you are following me on Twitter, you know what that something is. But now that we are back recording this podcast, we are going to review what happened and how India suffered a defeat for possibly the fourth time in home conditions over the past 10 or 15 years or so. England have won. Yes, they have won the first test match in Hyderabad by 28 runs. And it felt like this win would have never happened after what was the situation at the end of the first innings. India have suffered defeat. England have won the first test match and they have picked up a 1-0 lead in this 5-match test series. What have England managed to do here is completely breathtaking and unbelievable. Being 190 runs behind at the end of the first innings, to then come back, score 420 runs in their second innings on a slow turning wicket, and then restricting India to just 202 is just outstanding. They eventually win the test match by 28 runs. And after, let's say, the first couple of days, 2.5 days or so, it completely felt like this is a result which is never going to happen. When India posted a mammoth total of 436 in the first innings, it felt like that game could only go in one direction, and that is an Indian win. Maybe England could manage to get a draw out of this, but we all know for a fact that under Ben Stokes and Brendan McCullum, draw is never an option for this England side. And they came out there, played some excellent cricket, did not only manage to claw their way back after being 190 runs behind, they eventually took a lead of 230 runs and then managed to restrict India to just 202 runs. Who were the main contenders which helped England win this first test match in Hyderabad? And for me, there were two people, and if you ask around the cricketing fraternity, they'll say that two men have helped England win this test match, and those are Ollie Pope and a debutant spinner in the form of Tom Hartley. Let's talk about Ollie Pope first, because he deserves a lot of recognition for what he has achieved in this Hyderabad test match. Ollie Pope was made fun of before the start of the series. He's not had the best of times in Indian conditions. He's only had one tour of India, which was in that COVID hit series back in 2021, where he was so bad. I think bad is a very harsh word, but he was very, very poor, subpar, and he managed to score around just 150-ish runs in 4 test matches, with his highest score being of around 30-34, somewhere along those lines. And to come here, to fail in the first inning, scoring just 1 run, but to have the self-belief in yourself to come out there and score 196 runs is just outstanding. I was just listening to Ben Stokes talk to TalkSport, and he made a really, really good point when he described the Ollie Pope innings. He was asked by the interviewer, stating that where does this 196 innings rank in terms of English players in Indian conditions, and he said that it would be right at the top, above all the Joe Root masterclass which he has seen in India over the past 5 or 6 years. And then he made a really interesting point, was that if someone asks Ollie Pope that how did you manage to get out, and the response would have been such a funny one, saying that I tried to reverse scoop Jasprit Bumrah at 100 when I was batting on 196, and that epitomizes what Bazball is all about. One thing that I want to clarify here, and I want the Indian media and the Indian cricket fans to hear this, is that Bazball is not just about hitting runs, scoring scoring quickly, playing rash shots, declaring when it's completely unheard of. It's nothing about that. It's to go out there and express yourself. It's to go out there and play fearless cricket. It is to go out there and make sure that losing is out of your mind. If you lose, it's fine. Just go out there, give it your best shot. And that fear of losing, once that fear of losing is out of your brains, I think that can bring a vast ocean of opportunities. And that is something which England have managed to grab it with both their hands here. And the innings in which Ollie Pope, the 196, is a perfect example of what Bazball is. The pitch was turning, he reverse swept, he swept, he even played a couple of dill scoops over the slips and over the wicket keeper's head while facing the likes of Akshar Patel, Ravindra Jadeja and Ravichandran Ashwin. This is bold, and he backs himself to score runs in these kind of situations. And this is the reason why I feel like Ollie Pope, for me personally, and I completely agree with Ben Stokes, that this is arguably the best innings a visitor player has played in Indian conditions. And we have had some good innings. There was a Steve Smith innings in 2017 which is ranked right up there. Kevin Peterson himself scoring 186 odd runs in Mumbai to help England win all the way back in 2012. But this is right up there. Yes, there is obviously a bit of recency bias involved, but the way in which Ollie Pope managed to hang in there. And another point to add here is that he didn't have good enough partners. All he had was Ben Foakes, Rehan Ahmed, Tom Hartley, Mark Wood and Jack Leach to come out there, and he hung in with there. Credit to Tom Hartley. We're going to talk about his bowling as well, but he managed to score 30 or 34 runs. Rehan Ahmed chipping in with 25 odd runs as well, and Ben Foakes also scoring 34 to help build a solid foundation for Ollie Pope to express himself, get that 196, help England propel to 420 in the second innings, and giving them half a chance of a victory. And that half a chance was converted into full chance towards the end of day 4. I want to talk about Ollie Pope's other aspect of the game as well. I think a majority of media covering this test match are missing out on this thing, and I want to bring it up on the Cricket Corner podcast, and that is Ollie Pope's excellent fielding whilst he was there at short leg and silly point. It is one of the most difficult positions to field when you are on a spinning track, because you always expect a bat and pad or a sweep shot or a pull shot if the ball is short, and you have to react so quickly. And Ollie Pope, being there at short leg, at silly point, took 2 wonderful catches to dismiss Yashasvi Jaiswal and then Shubman Gill in the second innings of the bowling of Tom Hartley. And that is also really commendable. And in my eye, he was the man of the match. He was given the man of the match as well. And that is a brilliant performance, not only with the bat, but with him being on the field as well. Talking about fielding, England's fielding in the second innings was outstanding. That one run out of Ravindra Jadeja from Ben Stokes was just out of this world. Ben Stokes has had some amazing contributions when he's on the field with the bat, with the bowl or with in the field. But today he was just outstanding. This is a man who is coming on to a cricket field after having a knee surgery just a couple of months back, and then to throw yourself out there in the field and to throw the ball from the outside of your right hand when you are halfway in the air, and then getting the direct hit to dismiss one of the fastest runners in world cricket in the form of Ravindra Jadeja is just outstanding. And I think that run out put a lot of confidence in England's mind that yes, we have a really good chance of winning this match. I remember that watching that on television, and there was Ben Duckett standing at mid-wicket, and he had a perfect view of whether Ravindra Jadeja was shot or not. Sorry. Whether Ravindra Jadeja was shot or not. And it felt like Ollie Pope and Ben Stokes were still not aware whether the direct hit has resulted in Ravindra Jadeja being dismissed. But there was Ben Duckett running from mid-wicket saying that, yeah, it's out. And that, I think, was one of the most interesting things that happened on the pitch. We mentioned him early on, and let's shift our focus from Ollie Pope, Ben Stokes, Ben Duckett to Tom Hartley. Tom Hartley making his debut in international cricket, in Test match cricket. Just 20 first class matches, and he's picked up just 40 wickets for Lancashire. He's coming in as a debutant in Indian subcontinent. He was given the ball to open the bowling alongside Mark Wood in the first innings. Goes for 35 of his first 3 overs, which includes a 6 of the very first ball he bowled. I think it was Yashasvi Jaiswal who hit him for a 6 of his very first ball. I think that could have been a moment which could have ended Tom Hartley's international test career even before it had started. He was being mocked left, right and centre on social media by complacent Indian fans and Indian media alike. But then, once again, credit to Ben Stokes. Ben Stokes picks players, England pick players on their temperament, on their abilities rather than their current form. And Ben Stokes trusts his players. He didn't just make him shy away and tell him and take him out of the attack and probably bring him when India are probably 5 down and their tail enders coming in. No, he made sure that he's right there in the firing line. He learned really, really well, and he ended up picking up 7 wickets in the second innings. He bowled 26.2 overs, 5 maidens, 7 for 62, and those 7 wickets included that of Captain Rohit Sharma, Yashasvi Jaiswal, Shubman Gill, Akshar Patel. So he picked up the first 4 wickets, then he picked up the wickets of Shikhar Bharat, Ravichandran Ashwin, and the final wicket of Mohammad Siraj, stumped by Ben Foakes. Yeah, so that was just outstanding, and I think this would build a lot of confidence in the mind of a young spinner like Tom Hartley, who did not have the best of the starts, hung in there. He said that he has learned a lot from how Ashwin and Jadeja and Akshar Patel have bowled in this test match, and I think he's learned all the right skills, and England can now go into the second test match with knowing that they have someone, a good spinner whom they can trust if the ball starts to spin in the second test match as well. So many congratulations to Tom Hartley. If that Ollie Pope's 196 wouldn't have happened, I think he would have been the second player to come out there and claim that man of the match. But I think Ollie Pope's 196 enabled the likes of Tom Hartley and Joe Root and Jack Leach in the second innings to go out there and pick up those wickets and restrict India to just 202. It also is quite funny that at the end of the first day, if you had have said to someone that Ollie Pope and Tom Hartley would have been fighting for the Man of the Match award, you would have sensed that either something has gone drastically wrong for Team India, or I'm joking. Unfortunately for Team India, it was the former. Something did go wrong as far as Team India is concerned in the second innings, and it really felt odd that a visiting side could go on and score 420 runs in the second innings, while the hosts, with such a good batting lineup, so much depth in their batting lineup, batting to all the way down to number 9, could just be restricted to 202 by some inexperienced spinners. So yeah, where do Team India grow from here? It is really, really difficult to see England taking a command in this series. Yes, they've just won the first test match, and now that the Indian cricket team, the media, the fans alike have understood what Bazball is capable of, what this England side under Ben Stokes is capable of, I'm sure they'll not take them lightly. They might have taken them lightly prior to the innings, prior to the first test match, let's say, because they named a pretty inexperienced starting 11 and they were counting on hope rather than expectations. And I think the expectations now from India is to bounce back and win at least 3 of the remaining four test matches that are left in this series. My worry now is, what if India come out there and prepare a complete rank turner in Visakhapatnam? This is where I wanted to talk about the pitch, because I am really impressed by how good Hyderabad pitch is, and this is not coming out of someone who has a soft spot for England and coming out of someone who is talking about this because a visiting side has beaten India in home conditions. This is not the point here. I'm really impressed by the Hyderabad crowd and the Hyderabad pitch. The pitch was a good subcontinent Indian pitch. You could bat if you are settled in, like Ollie Pope showed, like Ben Foakes showed in the second innings. You could also pick up wickets if you have skills, which likes of Ashwin, Jadeja and Akshar Patel showed in the first innings as well. Yes, there was spin. There was not a lot of spin. You needed good talent in yourself to pick wickets, and that is complementary to someone like Tom Hartley, who managed to pick up 7 wickets. It is an outstanding achievement to do that. I don't want India to go under the bubble and tell the Visakhapatnam groundsmen that we want a rank turner for the second test match, because we have seen what happens when they are rank turners, and I've pointed this out in the preview episode as well. If there are rank turners, it allows inexperienced English spinners to come into the game as well. Then the skill factor is completely abolished. We don't want that to happen. We don't want Indore 2023 to happen once again, where likes of Matthew Kuhneman, Todd Murphy and Nathan Lyon picked up all the important wickets and managed to beat India on home conditions. We don't want that to happen. But I want the pitch to be really, really similar to what we have seen in Hyderabad. And what I want to see is Team India to back themselves to come good, regardless of the conditions, regardless of the pitch, and beat England fair and square. I think I really want to see that side of Team India. I don't want them to just go out there, pray that the ball would spin a lot more than the English spinners, because let's be honest, if the ball starts spinning, our batsmen are not in good form to face those kind of spinning deliveries. Shubman Gill is completely out of form. Shreyas Iyer is not in good form. Yashasvi Jaiswal yes, really, really good innings in the first innings, but then again, a bit too attacky in my eye. Rohit Sharma is not in his best forms. You don't know what to expect from the likes of Shrikar Bharat. And then you are relying on Akshar Patel, Ravindra Jadeja and Ashwin to not only give you wickets, but then give you runs as well. And let's be honest, we don't know whether Ravindra Jadeja is going to play in the second test match at Visakhapatnam, because when he was run out by Ben Stokes, he was kind of holding his hamstring there, like it felt like he's pulled his hamstring. We still don't know the extent of that injury. Maybe he's completely fine and he might return healthy in the second for the second test match, but we are not quite sure what's the case. So I want India to prepare good pitches where they can back their batsmen to give them runs and their bowlers to give them wickets, and not just prepare a poor wicket where the ball starts spinning and back their bowlers to give them the win instead of their batsmen. That is something which I don't want them to happen. But let's move back and talk about England for a second as well, because there was a lot of talk from English media and past players alike stating that the preparations coming into the test series in India was subpar. I think many questioned England's decision to go to Abu Dhabi for a 9 or 11 day camp instead of practicing in India. But now, seeing the result after the first test match, it feels like it's a completely valid and it's a completely right decision to make as far as the England management is concerned. What happens if you come to India for a month before a test series? The pitches, the practice matches, everything is controlled by the BCCI. Let's say England hold a net session in Mumbai. Who knows what kind of pitches those nets in Mumbai are going to give you? They might be green seaming pitches. Against if let's say they are playing against a rest of India side for a warm-up game, you never know what kind of players BCCI would select and make them play against England. There could be all fast bowlers with no seamers whatsoever. So that kind of preparations would have been of no help as far as England side is concerned. So they made sure they went to Abu Dhabi, where there are some beautiful facilities where they could create pitches based on what they want. They can create as many pitches as they want for as many scenarios as they want, then practice there. They have been away this test side, rekindle, regroup, play some good cricket, practice on the kind of wickets which you expect India would create. And I think that was a really, really smart move. I think Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes wanted the control from their side rather than relying on the hosts for them to possibly create a spinning wicket, which might have helped them in the test series. And I completely back the decision that Ben Stokes and Brendan McCullum made, that they wanted to have a training camp in Abu Dhabi and not in India. A bit of stats before we wrap up this podcast. These stats show how monumental it is to see England win the first test match. So here are 3 stats about India losing this test match to England. This is India's first defeat in Hyderabad in test match cricket. India has lost a test for the first time after having a lead of more than 100 runs in home conditions. That has never happened before. I think I read it on Twitter, and correct me if I'm wrong here. The deficit of the lead prior to the 190 was just 65. I think it was just a 65 run lead which India had that resulted in an Indian defeat on home conditions. That number of 65 has now increased to 190. That is magnificent and great performance from the likes of Ollie to make sure that has happened. India are now winless for 3 consecutive tests at home after 12 long years. Now, this is a really, really interesting stat. 3 consecutive test matches. The Indore test against Australia in the Border Gavaskar series, that India lost. Then they had the 4th and final test match against Australia in Ahmedabad, which ended in a draw. And now they have suffered defeat again this time against England in Hyderabad. So a lot to ponder as far as Team India are concerned. I know for a fact that this would be a question for whoever is listening this podcast and has stuck around till like the 22nd minute. What are my predictions? Have I changed my predictions heading into the second test match after what we have seen in Hyderabad? And my answer is no. I'm still backing India to win this test series 3-1. I'm still giving one test match a liberty of maybe ending in a draw or the weather being an issue. But I still feel like India are still the favorites to win this series. They have showed they can come back from 1-0 down in a test series against India. It happened in 2021 where they lost the test match in Chennai and then came back and secured a 3-1 series win. I back India to do that this time as well because it's a really, really long series, and it is, if England managed to keep this momentum going for 5 test matches till all the way to mid-March, it would be outstanding. But I don't see that happening. India are a real force in test matches in their home conditions. There's a reason why they had lost just 3 test matches in like 15 years in home conditions, and this one defeat is not going to change that. I still back them to win. Hopefully win the next test match in Vizag, so it's 1-1 and you don't have the pressure of going 2-0 down in a series and then expected to win the remaining 3. I hope that's not the case. But yeah, India still favorites to win the series, but I am sure the England contingent, the English management and the English fans are really happy to see their side win one test match, because prior to the start of the series it felt like this could be a 5-0 battering, but it's not going to be final. It might just be 4-1, you never know. But at least England are on the board and they have played some outstanding cricket. They have wowed the world with how they have played, particularly in the second innings. And credit to Ben Stokes and Brendan McCullum, Ollie and Tom Hartley to manage to get this win. What a day for Test cricket as well. We are like 25 minutes into this podcast, and yes, we were going to talk about the India versus England match in Hyderabad, but what a day for Test match in general, where West Indies have beaten Australia in Gabba, and it is their first victory in Australian conditions since 1997. So what is that? Almost 27 years since they last won a test match in Australia. Wonderful scenes at the Gabba. Shemar Joseph, what a man he has been. 7 wickets in only his second test match. He picked up 5 wickets in the first test match in Adelaide as well. Won the man of the series. That series has ended 1-1. Wonderful scenes in Brisbane. The Fortress Grabba has now been breached for a second time in 3 years. And that's funny if from an Indian fan's perspective. But yeah, long may live Test cricket. I hope these smaller nations, the likes of West Indies, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and to an extent Pakistan and South Africa, start taking test matches seriously, are given the platform to play good quality test matches, because this is the format which is arguably the best format in world cricket, and I would love to see it being expanded and reintroduced in a way to these smaller nations, so we can enjoy a good circuit of test matches across the world. So yeah, but the news are England have won the first test match in Hyderabad. They won the toss, elected to bat first, posted 246 runs in the first innings. In reply, India scoring 436 runs, taking a lead of 190. But then came the English turnaround. Second innings, 420 runs, abolishing the lead of 190 and adding 230 on top of that. And India, in reply, could only post 202, which saw England win by 28 runs. That is the review done from the first test match. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you are giving me those 5-star ratings on Spotify and Apple Podcast. If you are listening this on YouTube, then make sure you are doing all those YouTube cliches of liking, sharing, and subscribing. However, for the time being, this is me, Vatsalvora, signing off. Ciao for now.